Hello my scrappy friends, a big welcome to my YouTube channel today. It's Melinda Sweetman here with you, and I am sharing a layout for Cut to You featuring this month's cut of the month, which is this travel title stack, and here is the layout that I've created. Today I've dived right into my stash and challenged myself to use up some of the bits and pieces I've got. So that's what I started with here. I started by picking out what I thought was a kind of travel-ish themed kind of pattern paper. It's one of my favorites that I've had in my stash for years, and I may have been hoarding it, but I really love it, and I thought it would be a fun way to use it as a background with this cut file. So I started with my cut file, and then I picked my background pattern paper, which is, I think it's an old Bo Bunny pattern from memory. I love both sides of it, but I'm using the clouds. And then I pulled out some scraps from my scrap box. You can see what I'm doing here is I'm just chopping all of these pieces down so that all the edges are straight. And I've got a pile of scraps that are going in the bin and a pile of rectangles that I can use for layers. I'm pulling my background here, and I cut my cut file on white textured cardstock by American Crafts, and you can see all I'm doing here is I'm layering up my patterns and my colors. What I ended up doing was I started with the aqua color of my background pattern, and then as I was going through my scraps, I kind of pulled colors that called to me. So I ended up with pink, grey and aqua, and I'm just going to cut all my layers down so they frame my photo, and I also decided to bring in some navy blue. I pulled in, so on the back of that navy blue pattern paper is some labels, and as I was cutting the labels apart that I wanted to use, I realised that the back was the navy blue and that it added a nice pop of contrast, so I'm going to use that as well. So you can see I'm just playing with the layers here, layering things up. I want to make sure that none of the corners, like none of the papers end in the same place or start in the same place, so I'm making sure that everything's overlapping. And you can see I've just got an interesting edge around my photos here. Yes, these look like terrible photos, but is that not the point of passport photos? So I did struggle for a little while because we haven't done any traveling much here, and then it occurred to me while I was trying to work out what I was going to do with this cut file that we just had passport photos taken to renew all of our passports, and so obviously we're talking about hopefully an overseas holiday sometime in the future, definitely after, I think it takes 2 months or something. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to use these passport photos. One of the good things about the passport photos is they don't have a lot of colour in them. They've obviously got our skin tones and our hair colour, but that's pretty much it. So I was able to pull in whichever colours I wanted, which made stash diving extra fun. I've also gone into my stash of stickers and ephemera and all bits and pieces, and again looking at the colours. So pink, grey, white, navy and that aqua colour. So you can see I've got all my layers here, and I'm liking how that's looking, but I'm feeling like that light bluish aqua right at the back is kind of blending in a bit too much, and I'm going to bring in the pink. I bring in the lighter pink because I've already got that darker pink in there. But the other thing that I'm doing that really helps to tie everything together is inking the edges of everything, and I'm using my Hickory Smoke Distress Oxide ink and a little foam thingy, what are they called? And I'm just inking up all the edges. I've also inked up all the edges on my pattern papers. You saw me take my photo off and then ink them one at a time and flip them over, so I kept them in the right order before I stuck them all together. This is roughly how I want everything to sit on my page. I'm going to have my cut file over to the left so that I've got more of a blank space on the right hand side. And you can see I'm just playing with some of the bits and pieces I've pulled out here. So these labels are from that pattern paper. It's from a Paige Evans collection. and I actually realised that I've got this exact same pattern paper in my December daily kit for this year as well, which is super exciting. I thought I would pull in a bit of navy for my December daily kit, so I know I've got a video coming up for that as well, so keep your eyes peeled for that. So you can see this is where I'm adding in my lighter pink. I'm just going to add it to these two corners, and I like the way it just separates that whole photo cluster from the background just a little bit. I'm going to ink all those edges up as well. I only had that one small piece, and I just cut a corner off it and then had the two pieces to go around the two corners. And that's pretty much where it's going to sit. I'm going to add in a label here just to the layers, making sure that like none of the edges meet up exactly. You can see I'm just playing here. I'm going to have my title on this one. I'm pretty happy with how that is all looking. I want to use some more of my stash, so I've got these are super cute puffy pillow hearts. I love them so much. I had grey, pink and teal, and I'm going to use all three. Because they're so puffy, I had a bit of a hard time getting them to stay where I wanted them. So I'm just going to shuffle these around a little bit, get them into the position that I like. I end up swapping the little teal one and the grey one just because I like the way the teal covers all the different corners a little bit more. Alright, so I'm pretty happy with how I've got things sitting now. I'm going to stick down my cut file. I don't show all of this, but basically I just add a line of my liquid glue along, like cutting the bottom edge of each word. Use my T-square ruler and stick that down. If there are any bits that are sticking up, I do go back through and stick those down with a little bit more liquid glue. But I knew that I was going to add stitching to this, so I wasn't super particular with making sure that every single bit of the cut file was stuck down, not cut down. Alright, so you can see I'm just smushing that down, getting rid of any gloops of extra glue. I love this background pattern paper, it's so fun. Alright, so here I am, I've done my stitching. I also added like a cross to my 4 photos, and then I've added a line and straight stitching to each of my words just for a bit of extra texture and interest. And I'm going to start sticking things down. I show you this, I do add some foam behind some pieces just so that everything sits flat. Other pieces I stick straight down, which you'll see here in a second. So that one gets stuck straight down. The liquid glue gives a little bit of room for movement. These magnets, I love them so much. They help so much. And then the same here. I have already stuck down my label, and I used some foam tape under the bottom edge for that one. I've got all my stickers and stuff off to the left hand side. This is from that Pink Fresh collection that's right there. I can't remember what it's called though. But I use 2 stickers. That one says "Here we go," and then on the right hand side I use another one. I just want to get a label in here first. And here's the sticker. Go and see the world. I thought that was pretty relevant. Just trying to get the placement right. I realised that I hadn't inked up the edges of this one, so pull that back up, add the inking. I'll add inking to the other one as well, and then stick that down. I thought having those on the vertical was just a little point of difference, just add a little bit more interest. I'm going to add some foam to this guy, just because of all those layers of pattern paper. It does sit up a little bit higher. Again, just making sure that things are sitting so that they're not exactly in line with each other, just to make it interesting. I don't mind that I'm covering up the little bird here. I may have use for one of those elsewhere. Sorry for my head. I had to get over the top of this layout to make sure that I got that in the right place. Then what am I going to do next? Oh, I add these little arrows. They're from the same sticker sheet. They're just black and white, so I thought they were a nice little addition without adding too much. And I'm keeping everything that I'm adding to the photo cluster on a slight angle. Nothing's straight, but my cut file is straight. I wanted to add some more of the navy blue, so I found these alphabets in my stash. They're a Pink Fresh Studio one. I think it's from the Boys Vault collection. They have 100% completely lost their stick, but they were not quite the right colour, so I pulled out my B39 marker, I think this is, and just added that over the top to darken them up, and they fit. They work perfectly with the other navy blue I've got on this layout. I'm just going to stick a couple of these letters, oh my gosh, stick a couple of these letters down for you. Like I said, they've completely lost their stick, so I am using my liquid glue to stick them down, and I do change that title a little bit. It currently says Let's Plan. I'm just using the top and bottom line of that label to line everything up, and I'm changing the title to Let's Make a Plan. And I'm just using these little black tile alphas from Tim Holtz. I've had them in my stash for years. I love them. They're so handy. They fill in nice little spaces here and there really conveniently. So my title is Let's Make a Plan, and then up the top I've got our initials, which are from that same Pink Fresh Studio alphabet. And then I add a little bit more black just to balance that out. Stuck down my label and letters up the top. Wanted to add in a bit more of this navy blue, so I'm adding a couple of these puffy pieces from this LE Studio sticker sheet. So yeah, I think I'll leave that as it is now. I really like the way that's looking. Then I'm just going to make sure that my label here doesn't sink. So I'm just adding some foam tape. Then I'm going to add my journaling down to the bottom right hand side, basically talking about how we got our passport photos and it's time to start planning a fun holiday. And then up the top I'm going to put November 2024. And then my final thing, I'm going to cover up my photos and add some little black splatters using my black gouache and a paintbrush. I only have little splatters, which I really like. I have used grey for my stitching as well, in case you're wondering. And that is going to finish my layout. I had so much fun pulling from my stash and also pulling from my scrap bin to create this layout. I challenge you to pull out your scraps, go through your stash, use bits up. It's super fun. If you've got like a box full of paper scraps as well, cut them down to squares, see if you can, or not necessarily squares, but rectangles, and see what you can do with them. As always, thanks so much for choosing to spend your scrappy time with me. I hope you've enjoyed. If you have any questions, please make sure you drop them below, and I will see you in my next process video. Thanks.